Lenggong Valley is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and global geopark located in Lenggong in northern Perak. At a glance, Lenggong is similarly picturesque with most of the Malaysian countryside, green towering mountains, thick and lush rainforests and villages dotted the landscape. However, the thing that makes Lenggong so special is the discovery of ancient rock tools, food leftovers and one of the most complete ancient skeleton of the modern humans, the 11,000 years old Perak Man. The valley where the ancient humans are believed to live in an area at least 1.83 million years ago. What makes the secretive Lenggong Valley so important not just for the Malaysian history but also the history of mankind? Let's drive on a road less taken and understand of why Lenggong Valley deserves its status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Lenggong is located in northern Perak between royal town of Kuala Kangsar and the northern town of Greek. Most of the vehicles driving via Federal Route 76 will passing through Lenggong or as a stopover en route to Greek or to the east coast state of Kelantan. In Malaysian history textbook, the history timeline started at a Paleolithic era, whereas the history of the textbook as well teaches about human evolution. The reason is religious and perhaps cultural. Particularly in Islam, modern human or our scientific name Homo sapiens sapiens is believed to be created as it is and not evolved from the monkeys. The modern human, us, is genetically similar but not the same species as the previous human-like creatures that roamed the earth. Therefore, I will refer the humans before the appearance of Homo sapiens sapiens or modern humans as ancient humans for the rest of the video. There are several versions of how Lenggong got its name. According to Lenggong District Council website, the name Lenggong derived from a name of a man of Orang Asli or Aborigine. Second, according to Kamus Dewan, which is an equivalent of Oxford Dictionary for Malay language, Langgong is another name of a tropical hardwood tree, Shorea bracteolata. The third theory is that Lenggong comes from the word Lengkong or in the modern spelling Lingkong, which means encircling or surrounding. The valley is entrapped between the mountains that circle the valley with Perak River as the main way in and way out. Lenggong Valley shapes like a crater as if a meteorite struck the earth and formed the entrapped valley. Because it is. Lenggong was hit by a meteorite about 1.83 million years ago, and the most visible remnant of the violent impact is the Suvite stones scattered around Bukit Bunuh, Lenggong. To go to the meteorite site, I joined a tour group to go to Bukit Bunuh as the surrounding land is a private land and the road is an unforgiving dirt road. Luckily, on the day of the visit, the weather is sunny and clear as heavy rain fell on the day before.
Kalau dah experience today, tak jauh 500 meter lagi je. Pergi tengok ada batu yang besar yang ada lekat kapak genggam alat batu yang digunakan pada zaman 183 tahun lalu.
The stones look normal until geologists found out that Sovite was formed by an ancient meteor that fell onto Lenggong Valley. Bukit Bunuh is the epicenter of a prehistoric meteorite crash that fell around 1.83 million years ago. When the meteorite entered the Earth's atmosphere, the meteorite melted due to the extremely high temperature. The melted meteorite crashes onto Lenggong Valley, scattered and later hardened to become one of the type of stone that geologists call as Sovite. What makes the meteorite crash site so special from other Suvite sites around the world is due to the findings of ancient stone tools embedded with the hardened Suvite. The stone axes found in Bukit Bunuh are among the oldest stone tools ever been found outside of Africa and Near East. As the Suvite stones were only visited by a few visitors, the guide allowed the visitors to touch the stone. I would not miss the chance. And let me tell you, the temperature and the texture of the white stone axe is different than the Suvite stone that embedded it. White stone X in the middle is smoother, cooler and physically brighter than the rougher, warmer and darker Suvite stone that's surrounding it. The camera might showing a slight color difference, but the color difference is clearer by naked eyes. Suvite stones are not light either. The stones are heavier than the other stones around. Who knows, when more people are visiting in the future, the stones will be cordoned off to avoid further damages and can be only seen from afar, like what happened in Stonehenge. Who determined that the white stone tools are man-made tools and not natural? Geology is the study of stones, and geologists is someone who specializes in geology. They are the ones who found the differences of the Suvite stones, man-made cut stones and the natural stones surrounding Lenggong Valley. Geologists could distinguish the stones that deliberately cut by ancient humans than the natural cut stones, as if the men could distinguish the type of cast and women could distinguish the colors of the scarves. Therefore, it is important to have a skill and expertise in an AI-dominated world. Stay in school, kids, and don't be a struggling full-time YouTuber. After the local extinction of the earliest ancient humans, when the meteorite hit Lenggong Valley about 1.83 million years ago, another group of ancient humans came and settled in Lenggong. The valley was settled by another ancient humans, but they too were perished by a natural disaster around 74,000 years ago. A supervolcano erupted, causing the valley to be buried under the volcanic ash, killing all the plants and animals and the ancient humans as well. Mount Toba in northern Sumatra, modern-day Indonesia, was the largest eruption within ancient human existence. The eruption is apocalyptic in scale that the tall, mighty Mount Toba collapsed and the volcanic caldera filled with water to become Lake Toba, the largest caldera lake in the world. The scenery of the lake is such mesmerizing. Maybe I could make a topic about Lake Toba in the future. After the second local extinction, another group of humans arrived in Lenggong Valley, and the valley remains inhabited continuously up to this day. 11,000 years old Perak man was buried in Gua Gunung Runtuh, 2 kilometers north of Lenggong town, and discovered by a team of archaeologists in 1990. There might be some questions that arise. How did archaeologists know that there are some ancient graves and stone tools scattered in the caves and hillside of Lenggong Valley? There are numerous limestone caves scattered around peninsula, with large caves such as in Batu Caves in nearby Kuala Lumpur and Ipoh renovated as a religious complex. However, there were no archaeological findings except on the specific caves around the country. In Lenggong, cave paintings made by the Semang tribe were found, together with the stone tools found by British archaeologists such as H.D. Collins in 1938 and D. Gilsifking in 1958 and D. Walker in 1962. The discoveries of cave paintings are the key to the later discoveries of stone tools and graves. In many parts of the world, cave paintings are not just kind of ancient graffiti or just an artistic expression. Often the paintings have its own spiritual meaning or a way of communication in a community or culture that has no writing of its own. Why did humans spread all over the world with such a great difficulties traversing on wild and lush landscape that might greatly differ with their ancestors' place of origin? There are many probable reasons: climate change that caused the migration of game animals, insufficient food in original home place, war or crisis, just a spirit of curiosity, or perhaps some mother-in-law chased out her lost out from the village. What is the linkage between Perak man and the modern man? Due to the location of the grave in the cave high above a limestone hill, the skeleton of Perak man is in a condition that DNA sampling is possible. It was found that Perak man lived around 9 to 10,000 years BC and had a deformity, specifically a brachiomesophalangia type A2, which is kind of deformities of fingers or toes. In the other word, Perak man was a disabled man. The burial of Perak man highlighted two key points. One, it was a proof of a communal living, as the elaborate funeral with grave goods in the cave above the hill was not the task for one or two men to do. Two, the presentation of grave goods and fetal posture of Perak man illustrated their belief of afterlife. Cultural aspects are not limited to belief and burials of the dead. Nearby Perak man, a number of animal bones and shellfish have been found as a kind of ration for the afterlife, specifically mud creeper snail, or in Malay language, siput sedut. This is where the cultural linkage between ancient Perak man and modern Lenggong inhabitants is the closest. When the whole tour group stopped for a lunch break, a local restaurant served a variety of dishes often eaten with white rice, a common Malaysian lunch. And one of the food served is, you guessed it, mud creeper snail, siput sedut. The similar food, if not the same food eaten by both Perak man and modern people living in the valley. The big difference is that in the modern times, mud creeper snail is cooked with coconut milk, chili and turmeric and other spices, locally known as siput sedut masak lemak. Nevertheless, the cultural linkage is there. Thus, Lenggong Valley has been continuously inhabited since at least 1.8 million years ago, with two major interruptions, two major extinctions, making Lenggong one of the longest continuously inhabited place in the world. Inhabited for tens and thousands of years, and undisturbed stone tools near the ancient river course and the discovery of 11,000 years old Perak man skeleton has earned Lenggong Valley the World Heritage Site status on June 2012. In this channel, we should understand that the modern transportation existed due to difficulties of travel in the past. Before the automobile, trains and aeroplanes, travel was a luxury. People travel away and far if they could afford to, or some events that forced them to do so. Therefore, we need to remember that even without the transportation that we have today, humans could traverse across the dense jungle, raging sea and tall mountains with the most primitive of boats, beasts of burden, or simply by walking. Perak River that cut through the valley became the main way of travel since the prehistoric times until the introduction of train in the late 19th century. It was not only for the boats, logs floated downstream and barges carrying tin ore from the hinterland, the richness of land that caused the border dispute in the 19th century between Perak and Siam vassal of Reman. I talked about the history of Betong, Thailand in the previous video, where Betong is strategically located in between the sources of Patani River in the north, in Thailand side, and Perak River to the south on Malaysian side. To watch this video, the link is right here above. By the 20th century, the name of the meteorite site Bukit Bunoh got its name, the current name due to the wartime massacre. According to the local folks, the meteorite crash site was used by the invading Japanese armies during World War II between 1942 and 1945 as an execution site. Villagers who live at the eastern bank of Perak River were brought across to Bukit Bunoh and decapitated because they refused to obey the Japanese military orders. Thus, the events at Bukit Bunoh, or in English Killing Hill, not only took the lives of the ancient humans but also the victims of the modern era. The old Federal Route 76 was curvy and narrow, which makes Lenggong Fell removed from the rest of the country. New alignment of Federal Route 76, designed as a Super 2 highway standard between Kuala Kangsar and Greek, makes the road to Lenggong less curvy and safer than the old road. Today, Lenggong is a sub-district of Perak that maintains its rural atmosphere with lush jungle and friendly people. Extensive archaeological works led by Malaysian archaeologist Professor Emeritus Siti Zurainah Abdul Majid has brought Lenggong Valley into the global attention, as there is a missing gap of ancient human migration traces between Asian continent and Australia. Her efforts made Lenggong Valley and Niah Cave in Sarawak today enlisted as the World Heritage Sites. Even with the World Heritage Site status, Lenggong maintains its rural atmosphere where the local population survives on palm oil plantation, fishing, cottage industries and ecotourism. The rural atmosphere then makes Lenggong Valley a lesser known World Heritage Site compared to Penang's Georgetown, Melaka and Mount Kinabalu. By looking at the examples of Penang and Melaka, the designation as UNESCO World Heritage Sites has caused unaffordable rent and gentrification. To accommodate more tourists, the demand of historic shop lots for cafes, boutique hotels and tourist-trapped souvenir shops makes the rent going skyward and push the local businesses and residents away from the city centre. Since all buildings are protected by the law, new buildings are built on the top of the reclaimed land both near Georgetown and Melaka. Reclaimed land to build new malls, multi-story hotels, theme park and theatre, focusing more on tourists than the locals who are living further and further from the World Heritage Site core area due to higher rent. Compare that with the Lenggong Valley, the lack of development of tourist amenities, hotels, theme parks are kind of a blessing in disguise. The few numbers of visitors visiting Lenggong makes the tourism amenities limited, but its secretness makes the area surrounding the heritage site pristine with rural atmosphere. Thus, its status as a lesser-known UNESCO World Heritage Site makes Lenggong largely undisturbed by mass tourism that affected Penang and Melaka. The thick jungles and towering limestone hills might still keep its secret treasures unseen by the human eyes for tens and thousands of years, awaiting to be discovered in a secretive World Heritage Site in Northern Perak. If you want to visit Lenggong Valley, you can visit the valley either by car or by bus. There is an express bus service from Ipoh and public bus from Kuala Kangsar, but the bus schedule is rarely accurate due to traffic. Therefore, it is the best to drive to Lenggong with a private vehicle. Lenggong Valley Archaeological Gallery main exhibition hall is currently under renovation and scheduled to be opened by the end of 2024. Let's see whether it's true. Another gallery, Lenggong Geopark Gallery, was opened on 2023 and is open to the public. The entrance fee for the both galleries are free. You can request for a tour guide if you want to venture to the ancient sites beyond the galleries. I visited Lenggong during Astronomy Carnival on 11th until 30th of August 2024 at Tasik Raban Resort Lenggong. Special thanks to Pak Lee that guide the group with his knowledgeable facts about the geology, ancient history and the local life in Lenggong. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new about Lenggong Valley and its well-kept secret as an important prehistoric site of the history of the humankind. Thank you so much for watching again and see you in the next video.